So after the whole Camp Pinewood discovery, my mom decided that instead of spending the entire summer wandering through mysterious abandoned camps, maybe I should try something a little more responsible. Her words, not mine. So she suggests I ask around about a summer job, since apparently at 10 years old I am now considered old enough to, quote, learn some responsibility. I personally think finding a decades-old mystery journal is plenty responsible for one summer, but apparently that's not how parents see it. As luck would have it, the pet store downtown, right next to the ice cream place, is looking for a kid to help out a few afternoons a week. Feeding animals, cleaning cages, basic stuff. My mom drives me down there, I talk to the owner, this really nice older guy named Mr. Alvarez, and somehow against all odds I actually get the job. My very first real job. I feel like an adult already, which, looking back, was possibly the most naive thought I've ever had in my entire life. Day one starts off great. Mr. Alvarez shows me around, introduces me to all the animals, the hamsters, the guinea pigs. This one super dramatic parrot named Captain Feathers, who apparently only says 2 phrases, pretty bird, and for some reason, taxes are due, which nobody in the store can explain the origin of. My job is pretty simple at first. Feed the small animals, refill water bottles, sweep up, basic stuff that honestly makes me feel very official and important. Everything's going smoothly until Mr. Alvarez mentions, almost as an afterthought while he's heading out to grab supplies from the back room, oh, and if anyone asks about the reptile section, just let them know I'll be right back to help. Simple enough, right? Just redirect people if they have reptile questions. Easy job. What could possibly go wrong? About 10 minutes later, this family walks in, super excited, asking specifically about the snake tanks, wanting to see one of the corn snakes up close. Now, I'm supposed to just say the owner will be right with you, which is exactly what I intend to say, except the little kid in this family looks so excited, practically vibrating with enthusiasm, and I think, hey, I've watched Mr. Alvarez do this like 4 times already today. How hard can it possibly be to just open a tank and show them the snake? This, right here, is the exact moment everything starts going wrong. I carefully, or what I thought was carefully, open the tank and reach in to gently pet Daisy, which is apparently this snake's actual name. A name I find out later is written on a little tag I definitely should have paid more attention to. Except Daisy, for reasons I genuinely cannot explain, decides is the exact moment she wants to be significantly more wiggly than usual, and before I can really process what's happening, she slips right out of my hands. Now, I want to be very clear, I don't panic immediately. Daisy is not dangerous, she's just a corn snake, completely harmless, mostly just startled. But the little kid from the family, upon seeing a snake suddenly moving quickly across the floor of a pet store, lets out a scream so loud that I am fairly certain people outside on the actual street could hear it. This scream, understandably, causes an immediate chain reaction of chaos throughout the entire store. Captain Feathers, the parrot, startled by the screaming, starts squawking his 2 phrases on repeat, alternating between pretty bird and taxes are due at maximum volume, which, combined with a screaming child and a loose snake, creates honestly one of the most chaotic soundscapes I have ever personally witnessed. Meanwhile, several of the hamsters, apparently sensitive to loud noises, start frantically running on their wheels, adding this rapping squeaking sound effect to the whole disaster symphony happening in this store. I immediately start chasing after Daisy. Being a snake is surprisingly fast when she wants to be, sliding under a display shelf full of dog toys, causing an avalanche of squeaky toys to come crashing down onto the floor, each one letting out its own individual squeak as it hits the ground, adding yet another layer of noise to this already out of control situation. Mr. Alvarez comes rushing out from the back room at this point, takes one look at the absolute chaos unfolding in his store, screaming child, screeching parrot, an avalanche of squeaky toys, frantically spinning hamster wheels, and a very confused snake sliding near the dog toy display, and just stops dead in his tracks for a solid 3 seconds, clearly trying to process the sheer scale of what happened in the 10 minutes he was gone. To his credit, Mr. Alvarez handles the situation like an absolute professional, calmly walking over and gently scooping Daisy up like it's the easiest thing in the world. which, compared to my attempt, honestly it kind of is. He reassures the still slightly traumatized family that everything's fine, offers them a free bag of fish food as an apology, which feels like a strange choice of apology gift for a snake-related incident. But the family actually seems satisfied with it anyway. Once the family leaves, Mr. Alvarez turns to me, and I'm fully expecting to get fired on the spot, probably within the first 2 hours of my very first job ever, which would honestly be some kind of record. But instead, he just sighs, looks around at the disaster zone that used to be an organized pet store, and goes, "Well, at least Daisy's fine. Let's clean this up and maybe stick to hamster duty for a while, yeah?" We spend the next hour cleaning up the entire mess together, picking up scattered squeaky toys, calming down the still slightly frazzled hamsters, and getting Captain Feathers to finally stop his taxes are due Pretty Bird loop, which honestly takes way longer than it probably should have. While we're cleaning, Mr. Alvarez actually laughs about the whole thing, admitting that his very first pet store job, years and years ago, involved accidentally letting an entire cage of finches loose in the store, which took almost 2 full days to fully resolve. So apparently I'm actually in decent company as far as first day disasters go. The rest of my shift goes surprisingly smoothly after that, mostly because I am now extremely, almost excessively careful around anything with the potential to escape. I stick strictly to hamster and guinea pig duty for the remainder of the day, refilling water bottles with what is possibly an unnecessary amount of caution and focus. When my mom picks me up at the end of the day, she asks how my first shift went, and I just kind of stare out the window for a second before going, "There was a snake incident," which obviously leads to me having to explain the entire chaotic story in full detail, complete with sound effects for Captain Feathers' contribution to the whole disaster, which honestly makes my mom laugh so hard she has to pull over for a second. Surprisingly, despite the absolute chaos of day one, Mr. Alvarez actually asks me to come back the next day, which I did not expect at all. Turns out, he explains, everyone has some kind of disaster during their first job, and the fact that I stuck around to help clean everything up instead of running away in embarrassment actually impressed him more than if nothing had gone wrong in the first place. Over the next few weeks, I actually get pretty good at the job, minus, obviously, any further attempts at handling snakes without direct supervision. I learn how to properly clean the fish tanks, how to keep Captain Feathers entertained enough that he doesn't spiral into his taxes are due loop as often. And I even developed this weirdly specific talent for calming down nervous guinea pigs, which honestly feels like an oddly specific skill to be proud of, but I'll take it. So yeah, that's the story of how my very first summer job started with what might genuinely be the most chaotic 10 minutes of my entire life, involving a loose snake, a screaming child, a squawking parrot, and an avalanche of squeaky toys, all happening simultaneously in one small pet store. Turns out, sometimes the worst possible start to something can still turn into a pretty great summer job, as long as you're willing to clean up your own mess, and maybe stick to hamster duty for a little while. Next time, things get seriously competitive, because Marcus, Tyler, Devon, and I decide to have an epic shelter building contest in the woods behind my house, and let's just say things escalate way further than any of us expected. You do not want to miss what happens when this friendly competition turns into an actual full-blown construction war. Subscribe so you catch it the moment it drops, and let me know in the comments what your worst first day at any job has been, because apparently mine might have some serious competition out there. See you in the next one.